Hey there, are you ready for our next riveting experience? Well, buckle up. The fun and excitement is about to begin. Hi, folks. Welcome back to the channel. Here we are back in the backyard. And you may have noticed that we haven't been doing a whole lot of videos in the backyard, mostly because I bought my new kayak, which is a Titan 10.5. I'm thrilled with that kayak. But there's one little detail about it that is causing me some problems. It's 38 inches wide. That gate right there, it's not 30 inches wide, so 38 inches wide. So if I wanted to bring it in here, I'd have to turn it on its side and unrig a bunch of stuff, and it's just not feasible. So unfortunately, the Titan 10.5 videos will mostly be happening in the garage, except for when I'm out going fishing and that sort of thing. So today's video, we're going to be completely tearing down the Titan 10.5. All of the rigging that I've done, I sort of did it as a beta test setup, and then I wanted to get everything painted. So I tore everything back down. I did a lot of painting, and then I put it all back together again. And we're going to do that as a time lapse. And near the end, or maybe in the middle, don't know, I'm going to give you some insight as to why I picked the 10.5, why it's so appealing to me, and maybe it'll help you make a decision about your next kayak. So stick around. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Okay, I just basically started to tear into the kayak here and just removing components one after another to get it down to the bare metal, so to speak. My whole goal here is to be able to paint a lot of the pieces that are in there. And I'm going to be doing reworking the wiring a little bit. I want to try to get rid of all the bundled wires, which I was woefully unsuccessful with. I'll explain that as we go along here. Part of the challenge here is to keep track of where all those parts go. I mean, I built the thing, I should know, but it's just a whole lot easier if you keep track of where every screw, every nut, every bolt went. And I did that mostly by using Dixie cups. So any piece of hardware that I pulled off, I would put it in a Dixie cup with all the other parts that were from that same component. So it just made it easier when I put stuff back together later. Okay, here's a part that I built for the bottom of the seat, and in my seat mod video I just talked about it, and that's a visual of what it actually was. Okay, we're taking the battery out now. I think the next thing that's going to come off is all the stuff in the back. Yep, there goes the 360 flag and lights, and disconnecting a few wires, and then we're going to take off the 360 flag bait mounting base, and then all of the rod tubes. That's the live scope black box. And it looks like I'm going for the live scope transducer next. Yeah. And then the Garmin fish finder, that comes off now. Or not. Looks like I'm taking apart some of the seat components still. Maybe this is a Garmin. Yep, there we go. And this is a T-nut and thumb screw that I use as a standard detail for everything that I mounted into that secondary T-track that I added. And we're again continue to remove components. Okay, so I stepped away here to go grab a silver marker so I could mark where the transporter was, because I didn't want to lose the exact spot where I had that mounted. I had it worked out pretty well and I liked it. So that's always a nice thing when you're de-rigging, to go ahead and mark stuff as you're taking it apart so you can put it back the way you had it. Okay, at this point I'm removing the transporter, and I'm going to get out a piece of PVC gutter that I'm going to use to try to hide the wiring. Unfortunate thing is that Garmin just provides so much extra footage on their transducers and all their wiring, really. And I thought I'd be able to hide it all in here, but I didn't even come close to hiding it all. There's just so much. So it's kind of frustrating. I still have some additional wiring to hide, but moving forward, I'll come up with another solution for that. Okay, I want to apologize for the next clip that's coming up, because you'll see there's a lot of artifacting on it. It's because this geriatric old man tried to take a footage with his hands and it didn't work. And so I had to apply a filter, and that filter caused a little bit of artifacting, but it made the video go from absolutely unusable to mildly sucky. Anyway, you get to experience that, and so sorry in advance. Okay, now that I have the kayak relatively stripped of everything in there, I'm just going to do kind of a review of why this kayak design was so appealing to me. So the big thing, you know, as a DIYer, is that GearTrack makes mounting stuff to the kayak really nice. And you can see here, it goes all the way from about 1.5 feet from the back all the way to the front of where the pedal drive is. And there's only a 9-inch space in between here. It doesn't have GearTrack. So we've got solid GearTrack running the entire length of the kayak. As a DIYer, man, that is the best. And what's surprising to me is how few designed kayaks out there have that kind of GearTrack. It was pretty much the determining factor on why I bought this kayak. Now, the Propel Drive is a well-designed unit. It's easy to work on. It's reliable. A lot of positives there. The seat's comfortable, well-designed. And the overall size of the kayak and the stability of the kayak kind of made it a slam dunk. So this is the Titan 10, and just a couple of things that I'd like to point out on the 10 versus the other units is this cover in the front is rubberized, and when you put that on there, I cannot see how that would leak. That is on there super tight. It's like a Tupperware lid. It fits on there really tight. So that's a positive, unlike the 12 and 13 foot ones. They have a hinged lid and not nearly as waterproof as that guy there. Also, on the 2023 versions, and I assume later, we have the spring-loaded rudder, and I can say definitively that functions way better than what they used to have, which was just one that came straight back. Even with the Boondocks upgrade that you could buy for them, this unit right here is the one you want. Okay, so that is the Titan 10. Really thrilled with this kayak. Okay, now with the seat removed, you can see that this is really a small boat. It's kind of funny to call that a kayak because it's literally just a small little rowboat. And but it's great for customizing. So now let's watch me put everything back together the way it was before I tore it all down. And a couple of clips further on here, I also, after I get all this mounted in here, I get the transporter mounted, I go into the detail about how it works as far as mounting the seat and the frame, how much that weighs in comparison to a stock Titan. So you might want to stick around for that. There is a lot of boring stuff that goes on here, mostly because I just stand here and think about what I'm doing, a lot of it, and I did my best to cut a lot of that out. And I really, this video is more of a reference piece for me, so I can go back and see what I've done. But I thought other people might enjoy watching me put stuff back together again. But I did cut down a lot of the stuff where I was just standing around with my hands on my hips, staring at stuff, trying to figure out what it was I wanted to do next. Okay, I now have the seat frame mounted. That's this rail on this side, this rail on this side. They're both tied into the T-Tracks provided by Native on the side of the kayak here. Then they're also mounted to this rail here that goes across, which is my my cart system. And the three pieces together, both side rails and the back, all add up to about 25 pounds. And you can see that underneath the seat here, the seat's going to mount on that rail. Underneath that, it's all wide open. I got tons of space now. And essentially, those three pieces will replace this box here that was, like, this is what came with the kayak. Now that weighs about 11 pounds, and this altogether weighs between 20 and 25 pounds. I believe it's like 23 pounds. So that gives me about 13 pounds extra, which is similar in weight to what the Boondocks landing gear would weigh. And so with this and the Boondocks, it's about the same weight as my system here. Okay, a lot of what I'm doing here in these clips is wiring up some deck lights. So I have lights mounted on the bottom of those tracks that I installed, and hopefully it'll give me light, you know, in the early morning hours when I'm trying to gear up some stuff or rig up some stuff for the day of fishing. And I cut a lot of it out because a lot of it was me scratching my head. But This is one of the things I have left to do on the kayak is I have to do all the wiring. So I want a better wiring setup than I have for my 360 light, and I also want to get these lights wired up, and I'm going to do all that through a wireless switch that I'm going to mount in the hull, and I'll do a video on that wireless switch sometime here in the next 2 or 3 months. So you can look forward to that. More head scratching. I mentioned in a previous video how much of a pain in the neck these little storage racks were. I used T-Track and used heat to bend some ABS plastic, and it didn't bend real well, and it didn't line up real well, and it was quite challenging to get those things put together. But they work great. I just don't know if I would recommend anybody else go through that. And I've got them mounted up here. You can see there's my Dixie cups with all the hardware components, so that I have all the parts and pieces as I'm reinstalling stuff. And here it looks like I'm putting on my rod rack. And it was a bit tricky getting all the components back in the same order in which I took them off. Of course, I didn't do something intelligent like watch the video. No, I ended up having to take things all apart again in some cases and put them back together. But all part of a day's work of kayak rigging. It was right about in here where my GoPro either ran out of batteries or room on the SD card. I'm not sure which, but I will do a full walkthrough around of the kayak on a video here sometime in the future. But for right now, you get to be satisfied with the vomit-inducing walk around of the kayak. So here we go. Have your barf bags ready. Well, if you were sick enough to get this far along in the video, I appreciate you a whole lot. Um, Thanks for watching. If you liked the video or you got anything out of the video, please like and subscribe, and share all this stuff on your friendly neighborhood social media platforms. All right. Well, that's just about all I got. If you didn't need your barf bag, that's great. Thanks for watching.